we are going to be starting a series of shows where we are going to be talking about how to find gainful employment. Jobs that existed 10 years ago don't exist today. Jobs that exist today didn't exist 10 years ago, and there are jobs in the future that haven't been invented yet. We are going to talk about initially how the job market has changed over the last century and how we have come full circle from back to the small businessmen from where we were when the United States of America first began to be populated as Europeans started coming over to this country. When you think about the fact that in Europe, many of the people lived in small communities, and how the farmers sold their wares was they would put their products on their carts, have the horse take it from home to home so they could sell their products. As they came to America, they brought the same skills with them. And what they did was they would, instead of going from home to home, they would take their wares, put it on push carts, and have people come to them and help and buy from them. Also, if they would open up storefronts, and in these storefronts they would sell their products. And I've often heard the stories of my great-grandparents and how when they came to America, they either took their wares and sold the fruit from the push cart, or they had a small grocery. And how many people have a same history if they just look back on where they come from and what their great-grandparents or grandparents did in their home country and what they did when they first came to America. And I remember telling the story of the different generations to someone, and he said to me, "You know, you just described my family." And not only that, my great-grandparents, when they came to this country, they had a small business, but their children, the first generation born in this country, many of them fought in World War II. And when they came home from the war, they went to work for the small corporations and worked their way up in the company. And because that generation worked with the corporation and retired after 25 years with a gold watch and expectations of living comfortably on their Social Security, their children, the baby boomer generation born after 1946 through 1964, they went to work and followed their parents' footsteps into the corporation and expected to work there for life. But during the 1990s, this was when corporations had merged and had multiple people performing the same jobs. To become cost-effective, they started cutting back. So that what happened, because there was an unwritten rule at this time of a job for life, then these corporations started offering buyout packages. And I had friends who got the buyout packages where they continued to get paid for the next 6 to 9 months, and they retained their health care coverage. During this time, many of that generation looked at self-employment as an option. And this was also the beginning of the fact that when you work for a corporation, you no longer have a guaranteed job for life. So companies no longer have to offer a buyout package, but it's a great training to become a solopreneur or an entrepreneur in any business that you have. So, let's look at some of the things that you can consider for employment. And remember, because companies have cut back, don't look to have a job with a company, but why not contract with them to offer them the services that they need, and you can have 4 or 5 different companies that you contract to do similar type of work, and then you can get paid a higher income per hour than if you were working directly for the company. And let's consider some things that are out there. For instance, a graphic designer today is a web designer, and this is a relatively new job that's kind of been around for the last 5 years, that once you started seeing the internet take off and it's still in its infancy, then every company has to look at having a website. And even small brick and mortar stores have to have a website today. And when you load your products on there, you can have a site that sells your products for 24/7, as opposed to if you're only open in a brick and mortar store, you're there from 9 to 5 or 9 to 10 or what type of store it is, depending on the hours that you put in. And then when your doors are closed, you're not making an income. But if you have a website that people can go on at their leisure when they're ready to purchase, then you can be selling even when you're sleeping. Also, what companies are doing today is they are looking at cutting back their expenses. So instead of their hiring 10 to 15 to 30 or 50 people working on the phones from home, what they're doing is they are allowing people to work from home, pay them more money, and offer health care coverage because they don't have the overhead they would have if they were in a position where they have to pay for the electricity, they have to pay for the phones, they have to pay for the internet. And whenever an individual works from home trading their services, then they're also getting the advantages of having a tax write-off for themselves. So let's now consider some of the options on jobs that you can perform from home. Now, because of the internet and Facebook and Twitter, you have a job that's now called social media manager. And if you have a small business and you don't have the time or the know-how to put yourself on Twitter, to put yourself on Facebook, to do the discussions that you need to do to create an avenue for people to get to know you, then why not have someone that can manage that part of your business for you? Another thing you need to consider is a position called reputation manager. Why reputation manager? Because if you and I do business and you and I have a falling out, you can go on the internet, on any site, and you can write a bad review about me. And if I have someone that's working for me, making sure that my reputation on the internet stays sterling, then they can monitor this for me. They can check and make sure that no one is giving a bad rap to me as a businessman. Other things to consider are a graphic designer. Today is also a web designer, and every business today has to have a website. It also gives you an avenue where people can be buying from you 24/7 at their leisure. If you are in a position where you have a brick and mortar store and your hours are, say, 8 to 8 or 9 to 9 or even 9 to 5, then guess what? You're only earning an income when someone walks through the door. And also, if you have a good reputation on the internet, then guess what? Word of mouth will also bring business to you. Another thing to consider is if you work from home, then someone who was a secretary in an office or an executive assistant, then today they can work with, instead of one company directly, say 3, 4, even 5 companies where they're giving no more than 10, 15 hours to that company and it's billable hours, then they can charge whatever they want to and earn more money than they would be earning if they were working directly in the business. Other avenues to consider are things like multi-level marketing or being an affiliate marketer. An affiliate marketer is someone who signs up with someone's website to help them sell their products. And when they do that, they earn commission on sales. In multi-level marketing, you may have to purchase a business, but you're purchasing it at a much lower price than you would if you had a brick and mortar store. In a brick and mortar store, you have to expect that you need at least $500,000 in the bank, and you have more money going out before you even have someone walk in the door. If you have a website, you may pay under $1,000 to get it up and set up where you can take purchases by credit cards, but people can go on there from all over the world. They can purchase your products from you. It can be delivered virtually as well as physically, and you're still earning an income 24/7. The problem with multi-level marketing is it was given a bad rap because the original companies who started multi-level marketing, they proved it can work, but you had to purchase a lot of product and you had to have it in your home. Today, companies drop ship products so you do not have to have it in the home. So when you consider all of these options that are available to you, there are jobs out there. It's just the idea of changing your mindset and how you look for a job and plan for the job market. So remember, just as success is my only option, it can be your option as well. It is that, are you willing to look for other options and become creative when you want to find a job and have an income in today's marketplace? And I am a career and personal development strategy coach that helps people position themselves to have their own business and overcome any obstacle that they may have that would prevent them from being successful in their own business in today's job market.